stuff. Here's a devastating fact for you. Over a third of food produced here in Israel last year went to waste. That is 2.5 million tons of food that went straight into the trash can and cost the country about $6 billion, or the average household around $1,100. Yet, despite these shocking numbers, around 500,000 households here in Israel suffer from food insecurity. So, where are these numbers coming from? Well, every year, the organization Leket Israel releases a food waste and rescue report, which takes an in-depth look at food insecurity and distribution across the country, and this is the sixth of its kind. Joining us to break down what these numbers mean for the Israeli public is founder and chairman Joseph Gitler. So, break down the biggest findings in this year's annual report.
So I would say the biggest findings are that we had expected some big changes based on COVID, and we were hoping that there would be less food waste because of COVID. What actually happened is that the food waste changed. So where, for example, Leket always does a lot of work in the area of food rescue from hotels and corporate cafeterias, restaurants, event halls, not surprisingly, with the closure of much of the economy, during the large parts of the year 2020, those numbers dropped dramatically. Unfortunately, part and parcel with that is that agricultural food waste went up dramatically because farmers who normally sell to those institutions had trouble selling their products. So we didn't see any big change in the amount of food wasted, just where it was being wasted. I will add also, because all of us were at home and purchasing much more food in our homes, we saw a huge increase in home food waste as well.
Now, why are we seeing so much waste, and what is the cost to society?
Natasha, I've been at this for 18 years, and every time this report comes out, it's so disconcerting for me to see it, because we're doing a great job at Leket. We've grown tremendously. We've doubled the amount of fruits and vegetables we're distributing over the last 2 years. And despite that, we just don't see a big change in the way consumers behave, in the way food companies behave. It's really across the board. And so on the one hand, we hate waste. On the other hand, we're proud that Leket Israel exists to try to get its hands on the waste. But the problem is so much bigger than us. And of course, what people often don't think about, you think about poverty. So Leket takes this food, thankfully, and distributes it to the poor. What we think about less is the environmental cost. When we think about the waste of land resources, water, waste collection, processing, air pollution, one estimate is 5 million tons of greenhouse gases in Israel a year just come from food waste, which is 6% of all greenhouse gas emissions. So we just shouldn't allow this as a society continue, and it's got to start with government action.
So what efforts are being made to ensure that we see less food waste in Israel?
So there's a lot more, I would say right now, there's a lot more realization of the problem. There's a lot more publicity, press about it. People are starting to change. It's too slow, though. The culture of abundance and the wealth that's being created in the country continues to make this all a difficult topic for people to change their ways. People need to change their ways, because we might be able to survive now, but it's a scary thought what might be in the future. So people need to think about what they're purchasing, maybe go to the supermarket more often, and you got to make everyone eat leftovers. There's just no choice. You have the food in your house, you have to make sure to eat it. Above that, we need action from the government. We need the government, perhaps like the US government, starting to buy excess agriculture, because even this year, Leket will get to 30,000 tons or close to it of fruits and vegetables that we're going to rescue. That's still maybe 5% of what's being destroyed. And we just physically can't do more right now within the framework of our budget. So we need to see the big picture items coming from the government of Israel, and we're more than happy to be a partner in that.